I want to tell you how my ex and I went from hating each other to hanging out. Here I am dressed up. My daughter has her first concert tonight, and my ex is on the way to pick us up soon. So listen, and if you had told me this, if you had told me that I would be hanging out with my ex during my divorce, I would have looked at you. You had three heads. I think people think because my ex and I get along so well now, it's been several years since our divorce and we're both remarried, but we've actually had people tell us they didn't know who was married to who, like between our spouses, because we just get along all so well. And, I don't think there's a magic formula because I was just like everyone else. I had a highly contentious, nasty ass divorce, just like you probably did. And a lot of people think we had a conscious uncoupling, amicable divorce, and blah blah blah. No, no, not at all. We made all the common mistakes that most people make. But I will say that it was during that time that I recognized my own unhealthy relationship patterns. And for me, my divorce was the start of my healing journey. And because I have changed how I show up, our relationship has changed. He doesn't trigger me anymore. Situations or events. Obviously, I'm not perfect. There's still things I'm working through and healing through. But as far as accepting who he is, how he co parents, all those things, I mean, I've worked through all those things. Our communication is superb. I mean, and that's a really big key to it because I've identified my triggers and I've also looked at maybe what might be triggering him and, when to pick my battles or how to communicate with him and his wife. We can totally get along. And listen, I'm not the only one. I have clients. I have one in particular that I talk about a lot because when she came to me, she was on a lot of anxiety meds. Just the sound of her ex-husband's truck tires hitting her driveway. I mean, she would go into a panic attack. And now, like, I think they went to, I think it was Mexico. I'm like, girl, you are kidding. Even I thought this is unbelievable that they've been able to just, you know, co-parent, put everything aside, be there for their children. It's amazing. And I think that more people can, and I do, and I see this many, many, many times with my clients where they've learned how to bow out of the conflict, how not to take the bait when their ex does try to trigger them. And listen, I get it. I mean, I get it. The biggest mistake that you're thinking is, well, my ex will never change. Well, your ex doesn't have to change. They won't change. But when you show up differently and you respond differently, how they respond will be different. And over time, I do feel like things shift. Things become more respectful, things become more peaceful. And if nothing else, even if you have, just horrible, horrible ex, you can learn to find inner peace no matter what they do. But I do think that with a few mindset shifts within you and not being triggered anymore and knowing their triggers and how to communicate with a few tweaks, it will be a powerful game changer. Trust me, if I can do it, I think more people can do it. But you have to get out of that mindset of like, things will never change. This is hopeless. You have to have a different mindset and you have to be able to look at things from a different perspective. Because what I do as a coach, it's challenging. I'm not going to lie. You have to be willing and take radical accountability for how you're showing up and be willing to do things differently and break those patterns. But the good news is once you do, all of your relationships change. I mean, it's not just with my ex. My husband and I get along really great. My kid's stepmom, we have an amazing relationship. My in-laws, parents, just all those things everything starts to come at place. Everything starts to be at peace. And I see that so often with my clients. They start to build closer relationships with their children, with their significant others, if they're dating. I mean, all of these, healing these underlying wounds that you're carrying around will completely change how you're showing up in your present day relationships. Trust me on this one. So, listen, I have a resource for you. It's a free resource where we talk about the 3 vital keys that you need to address so that you can find inner peace. And we talk about that kind of in depth in my free resource. So if you want that, just comment triggered and we'll get that detail over to you. Okay? All right.